Well, welcome back, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed the refreshments. We're going to get the program back on track, and first to start us off, we'll have another presentation from our Ryerson Research students, Stephen Jones and Alexander Moroz. You guys want to come up, and I'll read your bios on the way up? Alex is a recent graduate of Ryerson's Architectural Science program. He completed a specialization in building science. Throughout his years in the Ryerson Architectural program, Alex has had a passion for designing and developing residential architecture at a variety of scales. In completing his specialization in building science, his ambitions have morphed into an interest in optimizing energy performance as well as researching up-and-coming green building technology. Other interests include the exploration of off-grid net zero buildings, prefabricated homes, as well as new affordable housing models. Stephen recently graduated from Ryerson's Architectural Science Cooperative program with a specialization in architectural design. He acquired knowledge of building systems and architectural technologies in his years at Ryerson University and at Humber College, has developed his passion for creating pieces of architecture that are both energy efficient and well designed. Stephen has a keen interest in integration of new sustainable technologies in residential projects, as well as creating a connection between a building and its surrounding landscapes. He believes that the future of architecture is a balance between beautifully detailed spaces and resilient buildings. On to you guys.
All right, so hold on, should be okay. So the next slide. Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Jones.
And my name is Alex Moroz, and we're both recent graduates of Ryerson's Architectural Science program, and this is our fourth year Getaway Cabin proposal. So a bit of a description about the project. The location itself is in the Muskoka region, where the site is covered with a mix of shrubs and dense forest. And the purpose of this project is to design cabins that, to be used as lodging for adventure seekers and people looking to escape from the city.
The client requested that we design off-grid cabins which have a minimal impact on site and do not use fossil fuels. The cabins are sized for 2 to 4 people who would stay on the site for a very few amount of days at a time.
So our primary goals for the project were to create energy-efficient cabins which were both light on the site and also focused on the use of natural materials. So other goals include conforming to the Passive House Canada standards, as well as attempting to achieve net zero building operations and embodied carbon.
Our idea for the cabins were to create a wooden cradle in which the cabin would sit in. The cradle itself would allow the prefabricated cabin to adapt to various site conditions as well as blend in with the surrounding environment. After analyzing the site, it was clear that the most ideal location for the cabin was the northeast corner. This had the most flat topography, existing road access, and the largest clearing of trees for parking and solar power generation. For this project, we designed 2 sizes of cabins dependent on the number of occupants. The layout for the 2-person and 4-person cabins are quite similar, with the large south-facing windows, the custom furniture, and a staircase leading to the loft space above. The major difference between the two is that the 4-person cabin has an additional bay to accommodate for a larger washroom and seating area. The loft space allows for storage by the stair landing and a small east-facing operable window for passive cooling. The main approach to each cabin is from the north towards the ramp, which then adapts to topography and elevates the occupants amongst the trees. The wraparound porch extends south to provide an outdoor seating area for the occupants, and I feel the south elevation really captures our idea of camouflaging the cabins amongst the forest through the use of vertical orientation of major building elements like the exterior cladding, the railing pickets, and the structural timber columns. The roof also extends out at the optimal length for passive solar shading, as well as maximizing the orientation for the PV panels on its surface. To accommodate for the lack of storage in such a small space, The steps themselves become storage units for the kitchen. This allows the beautiful views of the forest to remain unobstructed and further immerse the occupants into the surrounding environment. For the interiors, we tried to optimize the aspect of prefabrication through the use of custom built-in furniture, such as the kitchen counter and the couch. The counter was designed to mitigate all vertical storage on the south facade and focus on connecting the occupant to their exterior location and environment. This diagram showcases the built-in sofa that it can be converted into a bed in order to accommodate 4 occupants. To further optimize the space, the couch and staircase are combined into a single element, thus creating a visual connection between the different levels in the space.
All right. So one of the largest challenges when designing this cabin were the details, and constructability was going to inherently be an issue due to the prefabricated nature of our building. So to address this, we focused heavily on constructability and ensuring that the cabin is both easy to build and airtight. The building's prefabricated components would be assembled on site and delivered in separate panels. And then bolt connections located on the interior of the panels would be used to attach these elements while ensuring the highest degree of airtightness. So another focus of the design was to reduce thermal bridging to the smallest level possible. To accomplish this, the walls are made of a staggered double stud frame with wood fiber based insulation on both the exterior of the wall and as well as the interior wall cavity. So the floor and the roof structure are comprised of wooden trusses, which allow for higher insulative values than traditional joists. And the floor itself is raised 2 inches off of the top of the plywood, which allows for electrical outlets, wiring, and in the same case for the ceiling, the lighting to run through the building without penetrating the envelope. And another quick detail is the cabin itself sits atop rubber vibration isolation pads, which are generally found in HVAC equipment, which act as another thermal break. As for the glazing, we opted for wood frame triple pane windows, and these windows coincide with our desire to pursue natural materials while also providing a very high insulative value.
The mild summers in Muskoka allow for the cabin to be cooled strictly by cross ventilation, thus greatly reducing the cabin's energy demand. And the primary heat source during the winter months is actually the appliances and the occupants themselves. The cradle roof creates a large surface from which rainwater can be collected for use in the building. The diagram on the right showcases how the rainwater ties into the overall gray water filtration system. The use of ultra-low flow fixtures and pint flush composting toilets allow for an extremely low projected daily water usage.
All right, so the cradle roof also doubles as a mounting point for a thermally broken 7.8 kilowatt solar panel array. The generated electricity is stored in a 15 kilowatt hour battery located under the built-in sofa, and for this we used a system by an Australian company called Relectrify. Their approach is unique as they take recycled and depleted EV batteries and repurpose them, so they'll repack them into individual cells to be used as a modular energy storage system. Energy Star appliances and LED lighting were used to keep the electricity usage as low as possible, and finally a pair of micro HRVs serve as the supplementary heating and primary ventilation system during the winter months. So this slide displays our estimated energy usage compared to the solar generation over any given day in the peak summer and winter months. So the cabin itself can run solely on solar power during the summer months, but due to the heavily forested areas in our projections, the batteries would only last about 3 to 4 days in the winter months and then would be recharged by the staff in the ancillary spaces near the roadway. So another challenge that we discovered while working on this project was keeping the thermal energy demand and energy use intensity low, especially to keep it under the passive house standard we found extremely difficult due to the small size of the building. So we were able to achieve our goals of achieving passive house, as well as the U values were well within our limit. And then we were also able to achieve net zero operations as shown earlier, but unfortunately we weren't able to achieve net zero embodied carbon without wastefully using wood for the sake of carbon sequestration. We do, however, believe that the inclusion of our staff and ancillary buildings in these simulations would allow the project to achieve net zero carbon embodied.
Though situated on a rural site, the design of our cabins is quite flexible and can be modified to fit in an urban setting. Due to the better ease of transportation in a city, the units can actually be fully fabricated in a factory and then reduce the on-site construction to merely the support structure.
So by combining multiple cabins together into a small community, they can effectively run independently from the grid, similar to how the cabin does, and what we designed is more of a platform, not so much a single cabin. So future applications could be for affordable housing projects, as well as emergency pop-up housing for, let's say, either natural disasters or refugee housing. And it's kind of our take on the future of compact and sustainable housing.
Thank you for your time. Right on time.
Thank you.